Hi everybody, this is Darlene from darlenestamps.stampinup.net. I'm so glad that you found me today. Today we're going to be in the annual catalog. This is our Stampin' Up! Annual catalog that will be live all the way through April, packed with goodness in there. But I want to look at one product today that may be hard to understand or even to figure out what is it. Particularly if you're new to card making or a Stampin' Up! Catalog. So I want to feature that today. So we're going to open up to page 33. And the item that I'm talking about is right up here in the corner. Right here. Now, it's hard, I think, to tell. This is an embossing folder, and particularly if you don't know what an embossing folder is, you might be kind of puzzled by that. And here is a die. They are featured together. They are a combination product. They're called a hybrid. It's called a hybrid die. And I want to show you what that is so that you might be interested in it once you know what it does. It's also listed in the back of the catalog. Let me find that page for you. It's on page 177. I will have all the links to the catalog, to my website, to my store. Here it is. Here is the embossing folder. Here are the dies. It is called hybrid. It is a blend of two things. So let's look a little more closely at what this is all about. First, let's start with the embossing folder. This is its package. You can see the shapes. And when we take it out, if you're familiar with embossing folders, they all pretty much look the same. You open it up, you put your piece of cardstock in. Now, I made my cardstock not the full size of the embossing folder. It doesn't really matter. You close it up and you run it through whatever machine you use to do your embossing. And when you do that, this is what happens. Can you see the detail on that? Now your paper is embossed, which means it's been pushed up, and if you feel it with your fingers, it's raised up. Okay? So this is not a new concept. We've had embossing folders forever, really. And so this is not new. The new thing is the hybrid part, and that's what I want to show you now. Combined with this embossing folder is a die. Now, the way this works with the embossing folder is you take your die and right away you're going to say, well, wait, I don't get it. What does it do? If you slide it around, you will feel it hit a groove. This whole thing is a groove. It's hard to see, but you can feel it. So now my die is connected into, if you will, it's sitting in a groove with the embossing folder. Okay? So now, when I put my paper in there, okay, and you can use any color, and I close this up and I cut it out, you can see what's going to happen. I come out with die cut pieces. Now what I did here to show you, since this is a foliage kind of a product, I went through a lot of greens in my stash and just kept running the paper through that combination die and embossing folder. Then I went and got some of my shimmers. Some of the new shimmers are beautiful. I did white. So now you've created, in a very short amount of time, let me get the white, here it is. Oh, that was the gold. You've created a lot of die cuts. And what I would do with this now is that I would put this in some kind of a little basket or folder or something on my craft table so that when I am going to do something that needs a little bit of foliage, I can come in here and pick these right out. So the hybrid is embossing folder plus die. Okay, now let's just take a quick look at a sample. So here I did just the embossing part, but you'll notice it's white. And you're going to say, what is that? Okay, let me show you how easy this is to do. With my embossing folder, get it back out here. Let me open it up. Because I wanted a white highlight here, I used our craft white ink. Okay, this is in the catalog as well. When you buy this product, you get the pad that is uninked and you get the refill. So they come as one thing. When you open this up first time, it will be uninked. So now you're going to take your craft ink. Now the craft ink is very thick. Actually the white, it looks like the Tombow glue. Okay, you're going to spread that on your uninked pad, and then what I like to do is I like to take a just a plastic spoon, and I like to mush it, if you will. That's a technical term, mushing it in. Okay, and the first time through you're probably going to have to do that several times because you need that to soak into the pad. Once you've done that, okay, and you start using it, you'll be able to tell when it needs more ink. The refills are also sold separately, so you'll always be able to get a refill. Okay, so now that I've done that to my embossing folder, to my pad, I'm going to take my pad and I'm going to very lightly, and my pad really does need ink, very lightly touch my ink to this embossing folder. Now you do not want to press hard because you don't want the ink to go in between. Okay, you don't want ink in here. You want ink on the raised parts. Okay, so I would continue to do that until I have white ink all over those parts. And then I would put my paper in, run it through, and then you come out with this. Now, because it's a sticky ink, you do need to let that dry. You could even hit it with a heat gun if you want, but it takes longer to dry, okay? So having that technique, then I went ahead and put together a card. This time I used soft succulent. Here are my die-cut leaves out of one of the new shimmer papers and my little greeting. Okay, so that's that technique. Now, if I want to make it more of a debossed look, I would ink up the opposite side of the embossing folder. This time I did it with soft succulent, and you can't feel it, but the green parts are down in. They're debossed. Okay, so you can do the inking with craft ink, you can do it with regular ink. Again, so you see over here I pressed a little bit too hard and I started to get it where I didn't want it. Okay, so that's the debossed side. And here is a card similar to the other one. I just changed up the side of the embossing folder that I inked, and again here are my die cut pieces of foliage. So I hope you can see that it would be easy to not understand this product, maybe pass it over. And if you did that, you'd be missing a real treasure trove of things that you can do to add really some interest to your card making. I hope you enjoyed the lesson today. If it was informative to you and you think somebody else might enjoy it, if you can hit the share button, I would really appreciate that. Send it to a crafty friend. I'm always honored when people hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that next time I do a video, you'll be able to join me then. Also, if you'd be so kind to give me a thumbs up or leave a comment, it really helps me as I try to build my channel. As always, I like to leave you with a thought for the day. Today's words come from a very successful business person, entrepreneur, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore, Steve Jobs. He said, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." Bye until next time.